broadcast, and we'll begin with Aidan McGee, Sky Sports News.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yep.
Good stuff. So I'm going to record this, Frank. That's all right. Frank, just can we start with your reaction to that Manchester City verdict, please? Was there any surprise or even disappointment on your part?
No, I didn't. I was pretty neutral on it, really. I don't know much about the case, any of the details. So, no, just listened to the result as everyone else did this morning.
It would have made things easier for yourselves and the teams around you, Leicester and Man City, if City had been taken out of the equation. But is this a chance now for your young squad to potentially gain a lot more from having to fight that bit harder for that top 4 place rather than having it awarded in 5th?
I generally don't see beyond the games in hand. You know, we've got a few games now. We know that we want to win them and then see if it gets us European Champions League football for next season. So I was never pinning my hopes on it being meaning an extra team got in or not. We worry about ourselves. If we can win enough games now, we can get into the Champions League qualification. You
said after Sheffield United that you learned a lot about your players in that performance. How much of a cause for concern is it to you at this late stage of the season, given that you have so much still to play for in the remaining games?
My only concern is the games ahead. So what you always learn as a manager through maybe every day in training and games. That's what's very important for us now. We're at a critical stage of the season. It's Norwich tomorrow. And then in terms of the league, Liverpool and Wolves, we know what's in front of us. We know we have the capabilities in the squad and in the team because we've shown this season at different points, lots of different points. The reason that's got us into 3rd position, and now we need to try and finish the job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we'll go to Ian Abrahams, TalkSport.
Hi Frank, you okay?
Hi Moose.
You were brutally honest on Saturday after the defeat. Did you feel like you needed to be that honest with your players and tell them exactly what you said to the media afterwards? I try to be honest.
Whether the message is always exactly the same to players and media is not maybe always the case. And I think that's just part of the work in progress. But I was pretty honest. I think the game was honest. I think it spoke for itself. I think I would have been lying to the players and to the outside world if I'd have claimed that we deserved something out of the game. If I'd have claimed that we looked as strong or as physical or had as much desire on the day. And those non-negotiables are not acceptable. I didn't hang on that with the players. I don't dwell on it. I thought the main feeling for me of it was the positive nature of how we come out of it. And I felt that very quickly after the game because of where we're at. A lot of people didn't expect us to be here. I'm not going to hang on one game against a very good team, which we didn't perform anywhere near how we should. I'll concentrate on can we perform for Norwich in the games ahead.
My other question is sort of 2 parts. 1, because Norwich are now relegated, do you see them as a wounded animal? And 2, the home record, unlike earlier in the season, actually recently, before lockdown and since, has been good. You've beaten some big sides, Liverpool in the Cup and in the league, Spurs, and obviously the game I was at recently, Man City.
Yeah, which is good. You know, I always get fear for momentum. I was saying that before Sheffield United, and I think Sheffield United almost proved me right. Not that I liked it, but if you don't turn up or don't perform, it doesn't matter what momentum you feel you have. So there was a good example for us in one way. But having good home form recently is good for confidence. And we have to carry on with that and carry on from the Watford game in particular and the games you mentioned. And with Norwich, we absolutely have to treat them with utmost respect. Wounded animal, whatever you want to call it. They have quality players. They play very well. A lot of games I've seen them this season, they can probably feel themselves unfortunate not to have got results. But, you know, that's the nature of the Premier League. But we'll certainly be expecting a very tough game.
John Southall, 5 Live. Mute yourself, John.
I should know that by now. Okay, doing. How did you deal with it after the game? Do you have to tell your players a few home truths, or is it a bit more gentler approach with them?
I don't have like a set way of how I deal with it. I try to deal with it as I see fit. Sometimes emotions mean that you have to be a bit careful what you say afterwards. The game doesn't always seem or feel exactly how it was at the point. I like to watch games back and analyse and have more conversations with the players. As I say, the stand-up fact for us, which it hasn't been the case hardly at all. Maybe some moments in games where I felt we'd been off it or slow or not competing enough, and at the weekend we didn't compete enough. So it was quite an easy, clear message. I think the players felt that. I could see that in their demeanour. So hence why I quickly want us to move on. I moved on. The players move on. We're in a positive feeling within the camp, and the game comes tomorrow.
Yeah. Did it surprise you at all? Did you think your side was capable of that kind of performance?
I mean, I'm never surprised. And when you say capable of that, Sheffield United have taken a lot of big teams all the way this year. And even if they've got, they've lost narrowly, I've seen them against the biggest two teams in the country. They've given them great games. They went and beat Spurs recently. So I don't want to dwell on the game at all. It can happen in football. It can happen to any team in football. The best team in the country have also had one or two of those recently, and they're the best. So it's something we don't like, and something that you deal with as it goes. But in the process that we're in, and in the situation we're in, and we know we're striving to be better, and we've changed a lot this year, there may be moments like that, and it's important that we bounce back from it.
Nick Purell, PA.
Hi Frank, can I just check on team news? Will N'Golo Kante be fit? And the other thing was, I know obviously you parked what's happening next season, but obviously some of the players know that their situations are up in the air. Would you want your players playing as though their futures are on the line, or does that generate too much pressure?
Kante's not fit, so that's the end of that one. Andreas Christensen had to come off at half-time with an injury, but he's back into the squad for this game. And then the rest, I think we're as we were. In terms of fighting for their careers, no, I want them just to fight to be a Chelsea player and win the game that's in hand. Tomorrow, that's Norwich. Then it'll be Manchester United at the weekend. So we don't jump ahead, and nobody should. The next game is the only one that matters at the minute.
Jerry Cox.
Hi Frank, can you hear me okay?
Hi Jerry, gotcha.
You made 4 changes after the West Ham defeat. Do you see yourself changing the side a bit again tomorrow?
Possibly. I don't want to give my starting lineup away, but what I have got is a group where there are people competing to try and get into the team, and there has to be a level of where if we make mistakes, or if we're not reaching the levels we want, where the people that are working hard in training can come in and offer something better, or the same or better. And I also have to think about the freshness of the squad. So I'm considering that through restart. And as much as we would like a settled team at times this year, I would love to pick, certain partnerships, certain units of the team, and keep going. But this, for reasons of where we're at, as I said, this season, that hasn't always been easy, and we're striving for that. And sometimes that's a bit of a process, and we're in that process. But we'll see for tomorrow.
The last two, James Ollie and then Simon Johnson.
Frank, just firstly, just on N'Golo, has he got a chance for the Cup semi-final, or how bad is that injury looking?
Yeah, he has a chance for the semi-final.
And just on the Man City verdict, do you feel it? You must feel it heightens the pressure on the players a little bit, because obviously for much of this season it did look as though 5th place was going to be good enough for the Champions League, and now obviously it isn't.
I don't know. I mean, we're sitting 3rd. As I said before, it's in our hands. I wouldn't like the players to have been thinking, there's an extra place. Does that mean we can relax a little bit more? Can't be the way. So I think the pressure's there to get into Champions League football. It's just what happened this morning. It's just clear now of what the positions are, and we have to fight for it.
Okay, last question, Simon Johnson.
Hi, Frank. I appreciate you don't want to think about next season, but Champions League football and Europa League football, there's a big difference financially. Could it have an impact in the kind of players you'll be able to attract to the club if you miss out on Champions League football?
Not really a question just for me, Simon, and it's a hard hypothetical one for me to answer before the event. So hence why I don't jump forward into that. We've brought a couple of players into the club already, which I think shows a real positivity about where we want to go. We know that having not been able to do the club actually not been able to do business in the last 2 windows has meant that we haven't been able to bring in, we haven't been able to move players out. And I think that's an important thing, as much as bringing in sometimes over the course of time, to keep freshening up the squad and keeping the competitive nature of it. I know where I want to go with the squad, but that has to be a fluid conversation with the club. Of course, economics will come into it, so we would cross that bridge when it comes.
Okay, that's it for the broadcast section.